when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. We had a very meaningful, I would say, discussion with Miss Abby Taylor previously. And now for viewers who are just joining us, we are on to our second interview for the morning with Mr. Kerwin Springer, who is here with us in studio. Good morning, Mr. Springer.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, and this is in light of I would say he has a lot to share in light of the fact that we are in the coming down to the first term, end of the first term of the school year and going into the second. So we know what is brewing. We know that CXC is brewing, right? And this is totally his capacity, if I may sound a little youthful, all right? So Mr. Springer, please introduce yourself to our audience.
And you sound youthful and you are youthful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm Kerwin Springer. I have a YouTube channel. That's where I'm widely known from. It has 140,000 subscribers. We have TikTok, we have Instagram, but I am the director of the Student Hub, which is an online institution that targets lessons for primary and secondary school students throughout the entire Caribbean.
Okay. And what ages do you target via this platform?
So initially, we targeted only secondary schools, for like when we started in 2020, but we begin to branch out into primary schools. So we start from around standard 2, so 8, 6, 7, 8. My own children actually tutored by the Student Hub. So a lot of homeschoolers use the Student Hub as a platform to just make sure that everything is being taught in the curriculum.
All right. What are your numbers like, right? Because you said the entire Caribbean, and you know, based on our conversation previously, before we came here to speak to you, he mentioned that by popularity, he is known as the #1 online tutor for the Caribbean.
Right.
Right. So what are these classes like? What are your numbers in classes like?
Right. So that's on Google. Google says I'm the number one. That's in terms of popularity. So I guess that's based with the amount of students that I would have taught. Overall, I would have taught thousands and thousands of students. The reach is really huge because of social media. In terms of my classes, I initially have been known to teach very big classes. I have fought to bring them down. So like I have caps on my classes now. So it's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot. In live sessions on YouTube, however, I can reach astronomical numbers. So like before exam, 7,000 students at once.
Of course, because everybody trying to put in that last piece of crumb,
yeah, clutching at straws. So, but in my private class, it's way less than that. So
right.
I try to keep my numbers under 100 right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right, 100. That to me, that's still a very big cap, though.
Yeah. So, like for primary school, you actually keep it a little lower.
Okay.
So for my standard 1 classes, I keep that like at 20.
Right.
And the classes in the Student Hub, we usually keep them at 20, but there are some really popular students popular teachers besides myself in the Student Hub who are capable of handling larger classes as well.
Okay. All right. So what are the ages that you target? So you said that you initially started with high school, right? And now you've branched into a wider age range because you mentioned primary school. Right. So what ages do you target?
Yeah, so we start from like, as I said, like 6, 7. I found that we started in secondary school because, to be honest, teaching older children is easier. So although, yes, it's actually easier. You can ask any teacher. I have great respect for primary school teachers. So it actually is harder for me to teach my class of 20 standard 1s than it is to teach a class of 80 ADMAT students in Form 5.
20 standard 1s. I know that when classes as big as that, people normally split the classes. So I need to ask you, in light of that, what is your strategy?
So there are some things that come with online. For example, I always say like 1 hour in online is like 2 hours in physical.
Right.
So we are able to teach a 1.5 hour class. The content that we can get in 1.5 hours online is like for 3 hours online. With the younger classes, they have their cameras on. So at the Student Hub, we make use of nice technology where I have multiple big screens.
Right.
I hope my belly grumbling didn't come out on camera.
I don't think so.
Because I haven't eaten this morning.
I mean, you're here early, so that's understandable.
All right, so yeah, we have like these large screens, like how you all have large screens here, and
Yeah.
I'm able to see all these students.
Right.
And one of the things is online, you're able to, they're able to make comments, they're able to comment without interrupting the class. So while I'm teaching, I could read the comments and the feedback that is coming along. So it's just really impactful, and it has shown so in its results.
Okay. And well, with these numbers, you know, the follow-up question would be what your success rate is like.
Right.
Right. So what is your success rate like?
So success rate in the student hub is hard to like pin a specific number onto it. So like in, because we have different categories of classes. For example, we have private candidates. Those are students who are repeating. They're doing CXC for the fourth time. They join CXC and they finally get CXC maths. Right, so those numbers will be a little lower
Right,
than the
of
numbers
course.
who are in Form 5, which is like very close to 100% who would get through their maths, get through it whatever subject. And of course, we don't only teach maths, we teach almost all the subjects in CXC. So, and we have teachers from Trinidad, Guyana, Jamaica. That's why really we have students from nearly every region that does CXC.
Okay.
So it's a little hard to grab statistics and follow up on everything, but I can say that every year we have some of the #1 students in each subject.
All right.
So like the student who plays first in maths, the student who plays first in the Caribbean in CXC.
These are
Yes,
people that are part of
these are
student
people
hub.
that are part of the student hub.
Yeah, so we're looking at some way that we could actually log on to. Actually, I don't want to use the word cram, but you know, get that
Yeah,
information
some people
in
use it as
a cramming tool.
Yes, we have all the resources. You have all the past papers. You'll have all the notes. All the lessons will be recorded. So I think it's one of the things that students in Guyana use a lot. Those students who are here doing 20-something subjects. Yeah, so they would use that because they can't get all the subjects in school. So they join the student hub in those extra subjects
Right.
for the information.
So there's private sign up for CXC via the hub.
Yes, private students use the hub. But we don't actually sign students up. So
Okay.
they sign up themselves.
All right. So it's not that you would attend and then, you know, at the end you do CXC like a normal
no.
high school. It's
That's
just
like a
private
school, yeah.
lessons.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I need to ask, what inspired you to become such a teacher? Now, maths is not everyone's favorite. It was mine, but it's not everyone else's favorite. So what inspired you to teach math specifically and to open up such a large student hub for students?
So there's a lot that goes into the answer to that question. I was in Golden Lane yesterday, primary school in Tobago, and I told them a story of how the first time I did add maths, I actually got zero.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was in the same term, the same Christmas term. Midterms, I got zero. And I showed them my approach to studying that got me zero. And I did it again in end of term.
Did your approach happen to be something like my mind is on Christmas and what Christmas has to offer?
It was more like because I was always good at maths. So I
Right.
was the student who would first in primary school all the time. So we switched over into add maths and I was like, this is easy. I'll just use I was always gifted in exam prep. I'll use that and do really well. End of terms, I did the same thing. I got zero.
Oh my.
So I got 2 zeros in a row. So I use that as an example to the students to tell them, I doubt any one of you all got zero twice. And I got zero twice in a row. And yet I am, according to Google, #1 online tutor in the Caribbean. So there's hope for you. There's
Yes.
hope for you. So I think that I was always gifted with the art of explaining. So helping people to understand something that they thought they couldn't get, that really does it for me. So like that aha moment, that eureka moment in maths, some people just do not get that enough. So that's like my passion. And I studied mechanical engineering in UWI. I went to Presentation College Shoguners and I dabbled in engineering a little bit, but
And then decided that math is really the thing,
teaching is
your
on a
thing.
whole. So when I started off teaching, I was doing everything. So maths, physics, chemistry, biology, technical drawing. But now I narrowed it down to just a few.
Okay. All right. So you have been doing a lot via the student hub.
Yes.
So one last question. I mean, a lot of people would like to know your information now because you have told us about your pass rates. You told us about who you cater for. You told us about the information that we could get from the student hub. So where can we find your information? Where, I mean, besides searching your name on Google, which I did, and really and truly everything really came up, but specifically, where do we find the information for Student Hub?
All right. So, well, you took away my answer there because most people just find us on social media. You search Kerwin Springer, you search CSEC Maths. If you search CSEC Maths on Google, you'll see us. So the Student Hub finds you. You don't find the Student Hub. Just kidding, just kidding. So yeah, the number to WhatsApp is 310-1306.
310
1306.
1306.
So you WhatsApp that number, of course, Trinidad area code, +1 868. We have numbers for Jamaica and Guyana as well. You WhatsApp that number and an admin would reach out to you before this interview is finished.
All right. So for the students that may not really like the screen time, but want to, go into physical studying, do you have any books? No, I'm smiling because I know the answer to this question. Yes. Yeah. So do you have any books? What are the titles of some of your books? Where can we find them?
So the most popular book right now is the SEA Math Handbook. So that's a book that is like, if you take everything for SEA and you boil it down and you condense it, that's the book. Okay. So it's very popular among the SEA writing community. So that, once again, you WhatsApp the number and you can get it delivered to you. You can call your favorite bookstore. Most of them will have it. Sometimes they don't call us to update their stocks in time, but most of them should have it. And you can get those books. We also have the books like the Question Bank for CXC Maths, formula booklets for maths and physics, the SBA Bank. So all of our books are targeted for exams. So it's like to help you get through with exams, help you get through with SBAs, help you get through with SE.
So you first started as a math tutor, but now I'm hearing things like physics, and I mean, physics is really maths per se. But, do you
like maths?
I do.
Oh,
it was my favorite subject in high school.
Right.
Yeah, wasn't everybody's favorite, but just like you, I had that, I had several moments, that moment where I thought I was that good in math and I didn't need to really study, and there was a zero.
There was a zero?
Yeah, right, but then there was this fight, to get back to where I'm supposed to be. It is really hard to go from A in maths to 0 in maths.
Right.
So I wanted to get back there. But in my time, there wasn't a Kerwin Springer.
Right.
Right. So I'm really happy to hear that you have been instilled into the learning platform so that people could actually look for your resources and study from it. You said that a lot of students might cram before the actual exam. So there is that avenue as well for them. That look on your face is like, how old is she if Kerwin Springer wasn't in it?
It's not that. You said there was no Kerwin Springer. That's part of my philosophy. So I try to make products and services that I wish was present when I was a student.
Right.
Like, if I just had this, I would have done really well. I did really well, but I'd have been able to cut the time of studying. So that's what I did. And I it's not that I increased in subjects. No, the Student Hub teaches a lot of subjects, but we have separate teachers for them. So we have dozens of teachers, as I said. I actually used to do more subjects from before, and I kind of dropped off some to just focus on maths and physics and add maths.
Okay. All right. And to the aha moments that you had, there was circle theorem.
Circle theorem.
I threw away vectors and matrices. I made up my mind that I will not be pursuing such topic, and I just focused on circle theorem. And I had the aha moments. So I really do hope that, people come and find your resources, because if it is that you do have that success rate where people who are number one in the Caribbean and things like these come out of your Student Hub, I think that a lot of people should really look for your resources so that they can too have those aha moments. Maths is not really the favorite subject for a lot of students in high school.
It is.
Right? So to have someone, especially someone local, where we can understand what is being taught and not listen to an Indian accent. I'm very sorry, but a lot of people used to boast about certain people, and I'm like, I'm not understanding one thing, right? So, Mr. Springer, thank you so much for venturing into this, right? One more time before we go, could you kindly share your contact information for those of us who may want to look for your resources?
Sure. So you WhatsApp me number 310-1306, and you'll be able to get into the Student Hub. Of course, if you forget the number, the name is Kerwin Springer.
Yes.
You could look up CSEC Maths online, and you would be able to get in contact.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Springer, for joining
Thank
us
you.
this morning. I really do hope that this expands greater for you in terms of your, well, I would say the business venture part of it, right? But in terms of spreading a better learning experience throughout the Caribbean, I hope that that happens for you.
Thank you. And you did give a little insight on your age by saying that you were allowed to throw away vectors and matrices because the new maths exam,
You cannot.
you cannot. So now I have a little age.
You have,
to work
okay.
with.
All right. Okay. Once again, thank you, Mr. Springer, for joining
My
us
pleasure.
here this
Thank you.
morning. All right. So to our viewers that are still with us, I really do hope that you do stay with us and that you share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.